Okay.
Yeah.
Hit record. So, good evening, everybody. So, welcome to our Biz Mums book chat this evening. So, I'm very, very excited. I have a lovely lady here called Vikki Spencer. She is the author. Let me just check the name of the book. It is the Momifesto, which I think is a really cool name. 9 practices for phenomenal mums, sharing the 9 foundations for mums to create and change and reimagine their family. Wow. We connected through a Facebook group only sort of last week, wasn't it? It wasn't very long ago. Vikki sent me the link to her book, and I read the introduction. I was like, oh, I need to read the rest of this. It looks so good. So then I said, all right, come on, let's just jump on a call. So if you want to kind of tell us your story, tell us how you got to where you are and everything like that, and then we'll talk more about the book and sort of authorship a bit later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Michelle. This is really fun. So my story really starts with the fact that I was a high school teacher, and I did not ever babysit before I got pregnant and had a baby. And I know, so because I didn't know what to do or how to do it or what was going on or anything, you read what to expect the first year and what to expect when you're expecting, and then how do you build a life and how do you really build a family? And there's not a lot of material on that. So I ended up turning to business leadership books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and learned brain science and how brains develop. And over time, figured out really some of the 9 tenets that I put in the book that worked really well for our family. Ultimately, my son had OCD and Tourette's, and I had to kind of reconstruct our lives. And these are, again, I went back to these tenets to be able to do that, especially when I homeschooled. After he went back to school in 2nd grade, I began coaching, and using these tenets again, found that these were things that were really helpful to moms. And what I love about this is that we can just use our own lives. There's no right and wrong, but there's kind of bumper rails, like when you're bowling, you pull the little kids, the bumpers out, and you're like, just tell me where the edges are. I just need some guidance. And so it doesn't tell you exactly what to do, but definitely ask some great questions and give some concepts. Ultimately, because I had clients and I was using this material and I got great feedback and clients were getting results really fast, I ended up making a really short online course. It was 4 weeks, called Seconds to Mom Sanity, which now is hosted at Brave Girls University, and got huge feedback on that. That was really good. No negatives. And I thought to myself, how can there be no negatives? These aren't my family. They're not my friends. So I thought, well, let me go and write a book on it. There was just a season in life of a lot of loss and a lot going on, and I couldn't coach. I just knew that my capacity wasn't able to coach. And I thought, well, what are the things I keep telling clients over and over? And there were 9 things, and I really wanted 9 because it's kind of like if you picked one per month, 9 months to kind of work through being a mom, and you can kind of rebuild life in some cool ways. And for the title, I ended up going to just hit social media and ask for help choosing a title. And so 9 Habits for Phenomenal Moms is really kind of from what people were giving me, and I just kind of compiled some things together. So actually it was 9 practices, not habits. So that's the really short version. I don't want to bore anybody with huge details. If there's questions, of course, I'm an open book. I have no, you can't ask me that, of course I'll answer, but so.
Well, if you check out the Amazon, the introduction, and have a read of that, then that tells a lot more, doesn't it? And yeah, your story is really inspiring, and everything that you've become and how you've managed to do that is just fascinating. I just think that's fantastic.
Thank you,
yeah, definitely. Oh no, it's brilliant. And you can just tell your passion comes out as well through your writing, and I just think that's just fab. So I know we've got lots of budding authors in the group. So How did you make that switch? How did you get into writing? How did all the book come about? What sort of changed everything?
So I think everything happens in pieces and in stages, and it's always a progression, right? So of course, the fact that I had a course that came out that was successful, that I had put a lot of material in, just verbalizing, talking, through this course. And when I realized that that material was good, like people gelled with that, then I thought, let's put some of this into, this was going to be part of the book. So that's kind of a piece. There's actually about 4 pages in the book that is verbatim of a speech I gave at a Moms for Special Needs retreat that happened in North Carolina a couple of years ago. They asked me to do a 20-minute talk. And so 4 pages of the book is actually that talk. Because, yeah. And so I thought, well, so you kind of piece things together that are getting good feedback. And as it kind of evolves, things start to make sense a little more. Of course, I had friends read, and then things were edited, and I had I think I went through 4 edits because I was like, no, it can't be good. Like, somebody just rip it up and tell me that, we had some minor edits, but nothing like where, wow, this whole chapter stinks. You need to just redo it. I think because it's a whole different way to consider motherhood that really kind of blends self-help really straight up with parenting and motherhood, and puts us in a really big position of power where we start to understand, we can start to make some decisions for ourselves. But as far as the material, I think if there's any way to get material out and test it, get it out and test it, try it, see what the response is, see what the thoughts are, see if it's gelling with people, if they're interested or not. Then I think then you can stand behind your book and say, yeah, this is what worked for these people.
So how did you go about publishing it and stuff? Did you self-publish or did you go through a publisher?
So, I mean, that's kind of the big hot topic, and I don't mind sharing what I learned about everything. So I self-published because I wanted my book out. If I went through a traditional publisher, and by the way, let's just pretend I had an agent who had an in, and that my proposal was really good, and that they liked all my social media stats, and they said yes. Let's just pretend all that. It would be 12 to 24 months before the book came out.
Wow.
And my dream for this book is not just the book, but also additional courses. So every chapter would get a course, which is what I'm working on now. Oh, cool. So I didn't want, I mean, 2 years out, I can have 9 courses sitting somewhere that can be helping more people. That, to me, the lag time between actually making it and it happening was too great. Not on this project. Now, the sacrifice to that is, so if you self-publish, you're uploading on Kindle. I actually had a book coach that was helping me out some, and she was helping me upload and doing some things. So the onus is on me to social media and to get things out. So, I have hit local TV, and I have hit, I'm teaching this course, actually teaching this book at a local church. So between local and online and social media, I mean, that you're kind of your own, your own person, which is why I thank you so much for having me on here, because this is part of getting it out. Once you write it, that's the other half. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh no, it's great. Yeah, no, it's just interesting. So what was the biggest challenges that you find then through self-publishing? Is it getting it out and the exposure?
I honestly, I think I think several things. So I'm having 6 thoughts in my head at the same time. I'm so sorry. When you self-publish, so first of all, let's just say the challenges in writing it are kind of, you don't know when you're done. You don't know what's enough. You don't know, is it good enough? You don't know what would people think? Have I spilled too much? Have I not spilled enough? Have I, when is it enough edits? 4 editors later, am I happy? I just laid in bed one night and I was like, Vikki, if you had 8 editors, when can we be done? Yeah. Right. So there's this whole thing with writing and self-publishing where you are really having to be really brave and say, this is enough. This is good enough. This is as it is. And as I learn more, or if I've offended somebody or I haven't said something, then I'll write a blog post about it. Or I'll say, hey, here's an update to the book, or here's the missing chapter. I just thought there's going to have to be a way I'll regroup if I have really grossly not seen something. But you really have to just trust in yourself and in your life and in your material and say, hey, you know what? This has been given to me. I have done some due diligence. I've tested it out with people. I've run it by some audiences beyond my friends and family who would tell me they love it anyway. And I have found some success with it. So I'm going to keep going. My goal for this book is never been Amazon bestseller, New York Times bestseller. If I wanted that, if that title was a big deal to me, then I would have gone traditional publishing and get an agent, because I don't know how to do that, right? And the titles that I'm up against in my in Amazon, you have different categories. So if you're going to self-publish, I'm under parenting, and I'm also under I think women's business. But the titles in parenting are the titles of books that I use to write my book. Like, these are like tried and true. Like, I love these books. So there's not going to be a way I'm going to compete.
No.
But that's not the point of this book. The point of this book was, let this book reach farther and harder than I ever could for women who may never have the money to hire me to get help and change their lives. Right? So that's the heart behind this book. And I can stand behind that, and I'll market this until the cows come home if it'll help somebody. If someone will say, hey, I read one chapter, which is really like, just read one chapter, because we all know that time is of the essence. And to be able to say, no, that worked for that person, then that's my heart behind this one. That's it. So we kind of have to balance our passion and balance our love and balance our calling with our skill and all the things we don't know and all the worst fears and all the things we're like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Like, really, what's the worst case scenario that's going to happen? That you get up into Amazon, you don't know what category to put it in, or you have to figure out how to upload. I mean, okay, like, this is, just do it. If you figure it out, you're going to figure it out along the way. So these are honestly, it's been a lot of life lessons in dealing with this book, a lot of wide path and grace, and saying, hey, I'm going to do the best I can today, and I'm going to learn. I don't like the thought, to me, there has never been a point of failure with this book. So I've already succeeded, and everything else is just icing. So I don't know. I love the process of writing. I love the process of learning. And I think we have to be able to give ourselves a little trust to be able to know that we can do this.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. Like you're saying, you learn, don't you? Like tonight, I thought I was going to go, it's going to be easy, but it didn't work. It doesn't matter. I'll learn next time, and now I know how not to do it, and I'll do it right next time. So, that's it. Everything's a lesson, isn't it?
I mean, it's all a lesson. Yeah, and it's all a lesson, and you realize what maybe for next time, or what you didn't know, and you pivot. And you're like, well, how can we make this successful? So it doesn't look like we thought, but we're going to make it, another way. I think Jenny's phone is not muted.
No.
Sorry.
It's okay, Jenny. We're so glad to hear your little baby was back.
Oh,
I don't know how to mute it.
Cool. Okay, so about the book. So what can we take away from the book? What's like, you spoke a little bit about kind of the heart, where it comes from, but what can we learn? What would someone who's reading the book get from it?
So I framed the book as a manifesto. So if you need permission and kind of I have it, so I'm going to just show, like, if you need permission and be able to say, hey, I am going to stand behind something to change my life, then this is that. So it's truly like intended as a manifesto to say, I'm going to do this. So chapter 1 is, we require our sanity. And it's all in we's. It's not you. It's not like, hey, you need to do this. Because I'm still walking. I mean, I'm walking this too. Like, my son's 18, but I'm still every day. I require my sanity. And the second one is, like, we redefine and reinvent ourselves. So it's a whole chapter on how do you reinvent yourself when you're a mom. Because I was working with women who had 18-month-olds or 4-year-olds or kids were 8-year-olds. Kids are going back to school. Or kids going to college. Now, who am I? Now what's going on? And we need to know how to reinvent ourselves. So there's tips for that. We create a vision and not live overwhelmed. We all, as business women, we know how to create a vision for our business. I see behind you, you have a vision board. Like, you have a vision board probably for your life, right? I would gather that you at least have some kind of vision for where your business is going. But do we have a vision for our family? Because once we have a vision for our family, the yeses and the nos become very clear. So we're not struggling with the yes and nos because that's not part of my vision. That's not part of who we are. And so, right. So I know it's like super simple stuff, but really cool that we can grab onto. So I'm not necessarily telling you, hey, you need to, make sure you're eating at the family dinner table every night. But on the chapter on connection, it's like the chapter title is We Commit to Unwavering Connection. And there's different ways to do that. And maybe in your family, here's how. And there's science behind it. So I bring in science and I bring in, research and stuff. Like when I say I'm leaning on, like I saw on mom books that there would typically, here's how to nurture, here's how to be a great mom. And I thought, I'm just not of that cloth. Like I love those moms but I don't know how to be a mom. And so I want something that makes sense for me when I'm strong and I'm thinking about it and I want to have reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's this book. So the heart really behind that is when you don't know what to do. And there's a chapter on anger. There's a chapter on legacy. There's the things that I struggled with and my clients have been struggling with is just what I want to touch on in the book.
Sounds amazing. Yeah, because that's it. It's that balance, isn't it? Like you say, there's lots of like mumsy mums books, and I'm the same. I'm not that type of mum either. But when you can look at it from a different perspective, I love that idea of having a vision for the family and the connection, all that type of thing. That sounds really good. So I've just downloaded it to my Kindle this evening.
Yay! I'm so excited. Okay, well, leave me a comment on Amazon if an honest comment. Listen.
I really will.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. No, definitely. So what's next? So you talk about your courses. Is it going to be another book or?
So it's this book came out last summer, about July, and I've just now started to really push into promoting this because Mother's Day is coming up for us in the U.S. and I want moms to be able to have a resource. Right now, as I'm working, I'll show you. I think I can show you. Like if I do this, that's one course. It's pieces. So yeah, I really do have like this whole, trying to keep it get it together thing. But that's how I think clearly is when it's all out in some place and I can see it. So definitely, the goal is at least 3 courses in the next 3 months. That's the goal. And so one will for sure be on self-care, one on anger, and one on balance. And I've already cut videos for balance and self-care. So we're in the throes for that. Right now on Brave Girls University, if you go to Brave Girls Club and then log into Brave Girl University, if you log in and sign up and use the coupon code Vikki Spencer, VIKKISPENCER, you can get a free 30 days. And in there is my course, Seconds to Mom Sanity, which was the start. There's the initial course. I think it's my.bravegirlsclub.com.
Okay. I haven't heard of that one.
And then Brave Girl University, I'm one of the teachers featured there.
Okay.
And if you use my name, truly like spelled with the 2 Ks and the 2 Is, on the coupon code, then you're in for 30 days for free. But my course is a 4-week course, but you don't have to just do my course. Look, you don't have to. There's a lot of a lot of them are art and crafts and cool. One is an adventure course. One is a morning mantras course. One is super cool things there. Like a lot of these women I know in person and I know them and love them. But I wanted everybody to have that because as business women, by the way, here's the point. I get sidetracked. Sorry. The point is because I did this in increments, I wanted you to see my course so that you could know where the book came from. So how do you take a course and then write a book from it? You can do that, right? Sometimes the book just gets further reach than the course does, for whatever reason, right? And I guess too, because I can't hold a course. I can look at a course, I can engage, but I can't hold it. So as the more that you get your material out, get feedback, and be able to figure out how to package it differently, then yeah. So that Seconds to Mom Sanity was the start. And I took the book and went deeper, gave more research, gave more insights, more stories. So there's a progression.
Okay, that sounds, I'm going to have to check that out. So I'm just going to look on the chat. So if you've got any questions, I know Jen is a budding author. She's in the middle of writing her first book. She's in like that right now. I think this is when you're talking about the whole when am I going to be ready thing. Editing and
Yeah, right.
editor, but I've prolonged it as I want it to be good enough to read. So have you got any questions, Jen?
Well, as you're thinking, Jen, as you're thinking about a question,
oh, she said,
I just want to say, okay. So Jen, let me ask you a question. Is it in editing right now? Like, have you sent it to the editor, or are you like holding it? Like, have you not let it go yet?
Hi. Basically, I've just got 2 more chapters left to edit, but this is the second round of editing. And I just, like I said, I have this whole thing of I want my editor, because she's not just my editor, she's also a BizMum connection.
Yeah, right.
I know.
And she's edited some really good. She's edited some really good books, so I feel kind of a bit of pressure on there as to that it's good enough for her to read. So I have that kind of but yeah, I do have a question for you. If a publisher were to pick you up now, even though you've self-published, would you then go through that route, and would you publish a book through them and, do it that way? Just because I know of a lady called Christy Barlow who self-published through Kindle and everything that way, and then she got picked up by a publisher, so has then, sort of diverted her route. So, I mean, what do you think about that? And would you say it's an easy process, or?
Yeah, so I think with this particular, I'm going to answer that in 2 ways. And Jennifer, thank you so much, because that's a really good question. I'm going to answer that in 2 ways. One way is, for this book, if a publisher were to pick it up right now as is, I would have to get them to say that I own all rights to the courses, because I really want those courses out. I think there's courses that are really applicable to moms, and so they would have to sign over rights to courses to me, and I don't know that they would do that or not. But secondly, I have my eye on another book, like that I'm in the notes stage this week of like getting an outline down, and it's called Monogamous: the year I chose motherhood over dating, or the year I committed to motherhood over dating, something like that. Because I'm divorced for a few years now, and I have not been dating because my son this year is finally a senior in high school, and I just wanted this time to be able to sink into him. So it would be lessons on parenting, but also lessons on healing and learning about me as a person before I go back out to dating, which I'm not quite excited about that thought yet. So I have 1 or 2 small contacts in the periphery of the publishing industry. I may just zip them that concept and see if they might want it to pick it up. But otherwise, I know that a lot of times the big book publishers want to know your social media stats and how big everything is and what's your reach. But as I grow that, then I can use my own reach to get things out where I want. So I think it depends on the project. I think it depends on the thing. And Jennifer, if it helps you any, I felt like I sent a rough draft to my editor, to the first editor, because we all know there were 4, because I didn't believe it was good enough yet. So I think there were even 2 chapters that I didn't even completely finish, because I just took it to the editor and said, I don't even know what direction to take these, but if you tell me a direction, I will have this to you in 48 hours, which is what I did. So if I think I'm further behind than probably you even are, with writing it, and just know that wherever you are is good, because then it gives them something to work with. So yeah.
That's it, and they can give you feedback, can't they? That's their job, isn't it? So, you know, however you can just, you know, think that that's gonna, you just got to get some feedback from somewhere. That's the best place to start, isn't it? And then you can build on that. If they're not happy with something, they'll tell you, and then you can go from there. And I know Sue, who is the Gen's editor, and Sue's fantastic, and Sue will come back and be completely honest with her, and she's blunt in the most wonderful way. I absolutely love her for it. It's one of her best, you know, she just says it like it is, and that's it, with love, you know, and but it's easy to take from her as well. You know, she will, and she'll help. So that's it. Sometimes it's just best just to get it out there and send it to her, and there you go. So, and you need to hurry up, Jen, because I can't wait to read it either. So
Jen, what's your book on? Type it in the texting of what your subject is. We'll shout it out. And if you
well, I might as well just tell you while you're on here.
Yeah.
Basically, it's based on true events, but we don't know whether that's going to be disclosed. Sue Miller is also looking into this, but it's based on domestic violence, and looking at the emotional side of it, and really it's, you know, based on how I came out of it after 5 years of dealing with it, and really it's something that in the UK really does need talking about, more so the cohesion side of it, and the control. So I want to get it out in the media and look at the emotional side of it, really. So hopefully it will go well. And the book's called Isolation Junction.
Wow, that's awesome. I think it's necessary. It's a big deal here too. I think we're really struggling to get our hands around a face and what we do for domestic violence. I think a lot of women, we don't even know that probably that they're in the middle of it, and we surely don't know that for our friends, because a lot of people don't talk about it, and we're afraid. So I think your book would be at least a great starting point for people to start saying, hey, I read this, so let's talk about it. And I'm grateful for that. It's a great topic, Jen. Thank you.
And yeah, Jen's got I can't wait, because it's going to be such an inspirational story, and it's how Jen's turned it around as well, because I've known her from when she was kind of coming out of that situation to now, and it's just been, in the 3 years that I've known her, she's just gone from the darkest place to the most place. And it's, you know, it's just trying to see that you can turn that around. So yeah, it's going to be fab. Right, okay, well, thank you so much, Vikki. It's been so lovely to chat with you. I'm going to go now, and we've got the football on in my house tonight, so I'm going to go and get my Kindle and read my book.
Yay! And thank you.
And I'll post in the group as well the link and everything, so everyone can check it out. And keep in touch.
Thank you.
And I will see you very soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.